So we're redoing this room, and today we're going to be doing wall covering. This wall and this wall. We're going to start on this wall because it's smaller. We're actually using a wall covering. So this is a product made by Knoll Textiles, and this isn't just like wallpaper. This is what they call wall covering. So really thick, okay? And the reason why I like this stuff is I think this rolls 48 inches. So what that means is you have less seam. So my wall here is only around 40 inches, so I'm not gonna have any seams here. So no seam and no seam, okay? Seams are like the toughest part of wall coverings and wallpaper. All right, so we did a few things to prepare here. We have this heavy duty glue, okay? So this glues it to the wall. We have our rollers and just a junky paintbrush. We got our ladder. And like I said, we're gonna do all this side first, all right? So I removed all the trim, everything's off. And what I did is I made this little jig. So this jig will follow the ceiling, okay? So the idea here is that I can cut this down below and then put it up there. I really don't need it on this side. The reason why I'm doing it though on this side is because it's kind of a prototype for this side, because this one's gonna be a lot more difficult. So I'm gonna try to do the same exact process on both sides. So now using our jig that we made, what we're trying to do is just get the angle cut so that we don't have to mess with, we can just push it up in the corner, and then all we gotta do is mess with the sides, okay? What I'm doing here is lining this up. I have a long straight edge here on the edge of the wall covering. And then I'm using this and I'm lining this up to it. And then using a mechanical pencil, I'm gonna just draw my line on. I'm just gonna draw the line. We're cutting this off. All right, and then just using the highest quality scissors that we have, we're gonna get in the tightest corner we can, and we're gonna cut this. Now I'm just gonna follow the line, and I'm gonna cut the line off, of course. I don't wanna see it, so I'm gonna cut right to the left, but I'm gonna follow the line very closely. So this goes out of the way. Now we gotta cut, now we're just gonna roughly cut our length.
134, I think? Does that make sense?
It does. All right, now using a roller, we're just gonna apply the glue to the wall, okay? So this is not rocket science. Now there are primers you can put on walls to allow the wallpaper to come off easier when you wanna finally strip it off. I forgot to do that, but that's probably a good idea. You probably should primer the wall with wallpaper primer. But in this case, we're not doing it. Oh well. And you wanna really make sure you get this all over the wall. You don't wanna have any air pockets or anything like that. This stuff really needs to stick.
And it's heavy too, right?
Yeah, and the wallpaper is heavy. All right, and to make sure we're putting enough on, I'm just gonna grab a cutoff and we're gonna put it on, sort of see how it sticks. I feel like that's not sticking. All right, we need a better, what that tells me is the roller that I'm using is probably not. We're gonna switch to a more nappy, higher nap roller. And we're gonna put more glue on the wall. Well, better to know now. In my experience, it's always like more glue than I think. All right, I think that's good. And then we're gonna use a brush to get into the corners, kind of cut in. With the glue on the wall, I am gonna wear gloves. The only reason why I'm wearing gloves is this is easier to see if I get any adhesive on my hands. I don't wanna get any adhesive on my hands. So what we're gonna do now is, now that we have the angle, we're gonna use this wall here as our line. So we're gonna actually take the piece, shove it up in that corner, line it up with here because this is our straight line, and then we're gonna push it this way. I actually still need to add a piece of trim over here. So this side actually doesn't need to be perfect. So this will be the side that we trim, and then we'll trim out the window afterwards. We're gonna cover over the window, over everything. I will be good.
We're probably, I think you have to bring the top over.
All right, so now we're just sort of working it in. The walls are not perfect, right? But we're just gently using this flat plastic piece to sort of just, you know, push it in. We don't want to push too far and like too hard and push all the adhesive out. We're just sort of flattening it up, pushing it up into the corner. Now what I'm gonna do is sort of work on this edge to cut all this extra off. I got a brand new blade here. So what I'm gonna do is use this corner. I'm gonna shove this up into this corner, right? Hold it against here. Then with my blade, I'm just gonna basically go right along the plastic and cut this. All right, so that's it. That's what it looks like. Let's back up a little bit. Just adds a little, kind of almost like a fabric feeling to the wall. Adds a little texture. I would say the biggest thing is make sure you have a sharp blade. Replace that blade every time you make a long cut. If you think you need to, replace it, definitely replace it. I might add some, I do have some weird things here, like where it's not sticking. So I might have to add some quarter round here, just to kind of hold it to the wall. Maybe I didn't add enough glue there. So it's another lesson learned. But all in all, we still have to trim this window out. We're gonna trim this out, put a new windowsill here. Actually gonna pull this whole windowsill out and replace all that. New trim on the bottom, and we're gonna trim here. So this will all be covered. So I think that's where we're gonna leave it. I will put a time lapse of this wall. Basically gonna do the same exact thing, just gonna have this as an extension ladder, and we're gonna have to go this way. It's gonna be very interesting, but I think what I'm gonna do is cut a little more off the edge, the whole edge, so it's not as wide, but pretty much do the same thing. I'm gonna get up there, make a trim or make a template of that angle, drop it down. So this is part of a bigger video series where we redid this kitchen, we're redoing this wall, we just painted this fireplace, put the TV up, did the accent wall behind the TV, doing crown molding up there. So if you wanna see any of that, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and watch the other videos about this room. I'm Mike, Family DIY TV, and I'm out.